We had kind of a tough weekend on the road. We came off a midweek match that I think we felt pretty good about, actually. Played good in a lot of aspects of the game, but headed to Indiana State, and I think for whatever reason we came out very flat to start against Indiana State, and I thought they came out very fired up and ready to go. And in those first two games, we just really couldn't get out of that. We actually got handled pretty good in the first two games. And between games 2 and 3, our coaches, we decided to make a pretty big move. We ended up moving our libero, Amy Held, to a hitting position. We moved Kendall to the libero position and then switched Lindsay over to the right side. And I can say in all the years I've coached, that's probably the biggest move I've ever made during a match. We have never practiced that rotation. Their serve-receive patterns and the things we do offensively are very, very different in that rotation, and again, something we didn't practice at all. So I really have to give our kids a lot of credit for how they were able to handle that. I think as coaches, we were kind of in the mode as probably it's not going to get a lot worse right now, so we're going to go ahead and give it a try, and they really stepped up to that. Not only those kids that we were asking to play completely different positions, but all the people around them as well. So very proud of the effort that they made in those next two games. We ended up being able to win the next two games, but unfortunately couldn't hold on in the fifth game and lost in 5. Heading to Illinois State, I think sometimes you, as coaches, you try to evaluate where your kids are at after a loss, after a win, and then you determine what you do with them before pregame based on that. And I have to take responsibility for not really evaluating very well where our kids were at. I really thought that after the Indiana State loss, I thought our kids would be very motivated and ready to go in terms of, I felt like we let one slip away that I thought they could have. And sometimes that makes you very motivated for the next night, and sometimes apparently it doesn't, because we came out at Illinois State and probably were just as flat as we were to start Indiana State. And we played very, very tentative. We played very unsure and careful volleyball. And that just doesn't work. It doesn't work in the college game, and we were never really able to get out of that. And I thought Illinois State did a really good job of exposing that and staying on us. We had a few times throughout the match where we were able to get a few runs going and get a few things going, but just not able to sustain that for any kind of consistency. So definitely a rough weekend for us. We had a lot of offensive goals that we've been working on that I talked about up here last week. We're not able to hit any of those. And I thought our defense also struggled because of that. But what I would say is we definitely, in my opinion, took a step backwards this weekend, but I also am a firm believer that sometimes you have to take a step backwards to be able to move forward. So the coaches are working hard. I know the players are going to come to practice today and get busy on the court and start working hard to try to make some changes that we definitely know we have to make. Some of them are just downright competing. You know, we have to understand that things are not always going to go well, and we have to fight to go the other way as opposed to just letting that kind of consume what we're doing out there. The biggest part of that is we'll get the opportunity to be able to step up to that challenge and to find a way to be able to bounce back, because we bring the number 1 and number 2 team in the conference to our place this weekend. So obviously it's a big weekend at home. We have Wichita State, Missouri State, and they just played each other this past weekend. Missouri State ended up winning that match at Wichita State in a 4-game battle. So two very good teams. Both teams have done a really good job in the non-conference schedule. Wichita beat Kentucky, Marquette, Oregon in the non-conference schedule. They also played Hawaii, Illinois, and Texas A&M. So definitely a team that has been battle-tested and have gone up against some of the best teams in the country. They're one of the most physical teams in the conference for sure. They hit at a very high efficiency, so it will test our defense. They don't have just 1 or 2 people that can get the job done. They have a lot of strong attackers at the net. Also have some top conference blockers on their team. So definitely a team that will be a challenge. Turn around and play Missouri State, who also had a great non-conference schedule. I think Missouri State, in my mind, after watching video on most of the teams in the conference so far, is probably the team that I feel is the strongest in all areas of the game consistently. They have great offense. They're led by Lily Johnson, who was freshman of the year last year. She leads the conference in kills and also points per game. I think she's in the top 10 in digs, so just a great all-around player. but she's got a lot of people around her as well. They serve tough, so they just have all aspects of the game, so that's how they challenge you. They kind of wear you out, and obviously playing some really good volleyball right now. So we're excited to have the opportunity to get back on the court this week and practice some. We'll get the chance to practice for 3 good days, which I feel we really need that in a lot of areas, and then obviously have a challenging weekend ahead. The other thing I would say is Saturday is our pink match, so we get the opportunity to raise awareness and money for breast cancer. We'll be playing in pink jerseys, and those jerseys will be auctioned off throughout the match. So come help support that match by wearing pink and also putting in a bid for one of those jerseys. We really would appreciate that. Any questions?
Do you plan to stay with the rotation down the road, the new one, or go back, or just kind of rotate that rotation?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that we will practice both, but right now I don't know how you keep Amy Held out of a hitting position. She actually led us both nights in kills, and on Friday night she only played the last 3 games and still led us in kills, so it's kind of hard to take a kid out of that position who's really giving us production in a position that was struggling with production. But the hard part is she did a really good job for us as libero too. But Kendall, I think, really has the ability and the potential to do well. I think it's just something she's going to have to get used to. And we might try some other people in that position as well, but I do think that that's a way we will start and then kind of see how that goes. But we'll definitely be practicing both.
With the amount of practice time you have, what can you do as a coaching staff that really gets the team to be more comfortable with being aggressive and not being tentative against the big opponents you have coming up?
I think, some of the things we always do in practice, we try to put our kids in situations that put a lot of pressure on them. They have to perform or this. But again, the ways that we challenge them are very different than when you're actually against an opponent, and it obviously means a lot more in a non-practice situation and the actual matches on the line. But we try as hard as we can to put them in scenarios that puts that kind of pressure on them and puts them in situations where they have to rebound the other way, or there's consequences that happen. So we'll continue to do that. I think our kids have done a lot of soul searching individually. We have some kids that I think can step up competitively a little bit more rather than getting caught up in some of the other things, and they've been challenged with that, and I think they're ready to step up to that challenge.
Bobbi, how special was it to win 400 last week? You're some pretty elite company.
Yeah, I think, like I've told a lot of people, it's 2 things. I've been doing it a long time, but I think the biggest part of that and the most exciting part of that is being able to really reflect on all the people that I've been able to be around, and there's so many people that are actually the real part of those wins. You obviously know that it's the players, it's the staff, it's the administration that are all a big part of that, and that's the part that gives me the goosebumps, is just thinking about all those people and getting the chance actually to hear from some of those people and what their time at UNI has meant, because that's really what it's all about. So I think the opportunity to really sit back and think about a lot of years of being able to be a part of not only a sport that I love, but obviously a university that I think the world of, and to all the people that have been involved in that. All right, thank you.